A reading from the book of Matthew. Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." The word of the Lord. Picked it up this morning. I got a call from Father Dexter this morning that he had fallen, and he was on his son was taking him to the emergency room in Hondo, and we've received a text that he has a cracked ankle. So he'll be hobbling around. So this is an impromptu. It's like, oh, you're doing morning prayer. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is from the gospel lesson in Matthew. Jesus wastes no time in the Sermon on the Mount. No warm-up stories, no gentle icebreakers. He looks at this ragtag group of disciples, and by extension, us, and says, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." Not you might be, not someday you could be, but you are. Present tense. Right now. Which is both a little terrifying and encouraging, isn't it? Because salt and light aren't passive things. Salt does stuff. Light definitely does stuff. And Jesus seems pretty clear that following him isn't meant to be a private, hidden, low impact hobby. This isn't a keep your faith quietly tucked away so no one is uncomfortable kind of deal. Jesus is talking about a life that makes a difference, one that has flavor, one that shines. Let's start with salt. In Jesus' day, salt was precious. It preserved food. It added flavor. It kept things from spoiling. Salt mattered. Now we think it's bad, and Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth." In other words, your presence in the world is meant to help preserve what is good, to bring out what is life-giving, to resist the forces that decay and degrade. But then comes the warning. If salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? Which sounds odd to us because we know salt is salt. As we learned in Bible study on Wednesday, it's at 5 p.m. with dinner. Last week, Joanne made dinner. Sodium chloride doesn't just wake up one morning and decide to be bland. But in the ancient world, salt was often mixed with other substances. It could become diluted, ineffective, and useless. The point is clear. Discipleship that loses its distinctiveness doesn't do much good. Faith that looks exactly like everything else, shaped by the same fears and the same grudges and the same indifference, stops being salty. Now, before we get too nervous, let's be clear about what Jesus isn't saying. He's not saying we need to be loud, obnoxious, or judgmental. No one enjoys that kind of salt. No one wants to eat a spoonful of it. Salt works best when it's worked in quietly, steadily, faithfully, transforming the whole dish. Being salty Christians doesn't mean overpowering everyone else. It means living with integrity. It means kindness that isn't conditional. It means hope that doesn't evaporate when things get hard. It means forgiveness that refuses to let bitterness win. That kind of life flavors everything around it. Let me read that again. It means hope that doesn't require. Let me try it again. It means hope that doesn't evaporate when things get hard. It means forgiveness that refuses to let bitterness win. That kind of life flavors everything around it. Then Jesus shifts metaphors. You are the light of the world. And in case we miss the point, he doubles down. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No hiding, no dimmer switch, no spiritual invisibility cloak. Light by its very nature reveals. It shows where we are. It helps us see one another. It makes it possible to move forward without stumbling. Oh, the goal isn't, look how great these Christians are. The goal is, look how good God must be. This is where Psalm 112 fits beautifully. Psalm 112 describes the life of the righteous, not as someone perfect or flashy, but as someone steady, generous, grounded in trust. Light shines in the darkness for the upright, the psalmist says. Notice that phrase, light shines in the darkness, in the darkness, not instead of darkness, not pretending darkness isn't real, but right there in the middle of it. Psalm 112 paints a picture of people who are gracious and compassionate, who deal generously and lend, who conduct their affairs with justice. These aren't headline-grabbing miracles. These are faithful daily choices, and yet they shine. That's what Jesus is talking about. The light we shine isn't a spotlight aimed at ourselves. It's the glow of a life shaped by God's mercy. I like that. It's the glow of a life shaped by God's mercy. Then Jesus says something that has confused Christians for centuries. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And suddenly the tone shifts from salt and light to commandments and righteousness, and not just righteousness, but righteousness that exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees. That can feel intimidating. The scribes and Pharisees were serious about their faith. They knew the law inside and out. They followed the rules. Are we supposed to do more than that? Here's the key. Jesus isn't talking about doing more rules. He's talking about deeper faithfulness. The Pharisees focused on external compliance. Jesus is aiming at transformed hearts. To fulfill the law isn't to tighten it into a spiritual straitjacket. It's to live out its deepest intention, love of God and love of neighbor. It's about alignment, about letting God's values shape not just what we do, but why we do it. Psalm 112 again helps us here. The righteous person delights in God's commandments, not because they enjoy checking boxes, but because they trust God's way leads to life. Their hearts are steady. They aren't afraid of bad news. They have confidence, not in themselves, but in the Lord. That's the kind of righteousness Jesus is describing, a righteousness rooted in trust, not fear, in relationship, not performance. So, what does this mean for us today, right here, right now? First, it means we don't get to opt out. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Jesus doesn't say some of you. He says you. He says me. The church isn't a private club for spiritual enrichment. It's a public witness to God's love. Every act of compassion, every choice to forgive, every moment we refuse to dehumanize someone else, those things shine. Every time we show generosity in a culture obsessed with scarcity, we add flavor. Every time we speak truth with humility, every time we choose mercy over judgment, we preserve something precious. Second, it means we don't have to be perfect to shine. Psalm 112 never says the righteous never struggle. It says they aren't overwhelmed by fear. Light shines in the darkness, not after the darkness is gone. God uses ordinary, imperfect people who are willing to be faithful. That's good news because if perfection were required, the lights would go out pretty quickly. Third, it means our faith has consequences beyond these walls. Jesus' words are public facing. Salt is meant for food. Light is meant for rooms, streets, cities. Faith that never leaves the sanctuary hasn't finished its job. How we treat our neighbors, how we speak about those we disagree with, how we use our resources, how we respond to suffering. These are the places where salt and light show up. Psalm 112 says, they have given freely to the poor, and their righteousness stands fast forever. Generosity is a form of light. Stability in uncertain times is a form of witness. Quiet courage is a form of holiness. And finally, Jesus reminds us why all this matters, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. This isn't about earning God's love. That love is already given. This is about reflecting it. In the Episcopal tradition, we talk a lot about living our faith, about prayer shaping action and action deepening prayer. Salt and light are exactly that kind of faith. It's incarnational, it's visible, it's embodied. So here's the playful but serious invitation Jesus offers us today. Don't go bland, don't go dark. Don't hide what God is doing in you. Season the world with grace, shine with compassion, trust that even small acts of faithfulness matter more than you know. Because when light shines in the darkness, real light, God's light, it changes things. And when it does, God gets the glory. Amen.